different guidelines for the syncope. The evaluation of guideline was starting from 2002 to 2016. The most recent one was 2017, that was American Rhythm Society, and after that 2018, that was ESC cardio guideline. And there is a recent review article regarding this comparison of the old guidelines and what is the new in the management of the syncope. So first, the definition. This is the most recent definition of the syncope. The first one is that it is a transient loss of consciousness due to transient global cerebral hypoperfusion characterized by rapid onset, short duration and spontaneous complete recovery. Now, they have defined the transient loss of consciousness as a state of real or apparent loss of consciousness with loss of awareness characterized by amnesia for the period of unconsciousness and abnormal motor control, loss of responsiveness and for a short duration. So, transient loss of consciousness would be classified as a syncope if there is a presence of specific features for the reflex or orthostatic hypotension or the cardiac syncope, or any absence of the specific features for other forms of the transient loss of consciousness. Now, these are the other form of the transient loss of consciousness. In this we can see they have excluded the epileptical seizure, psychogenic and the other rare causes like subclavian still syndrome, vertebrovascular TIA, subarachnoid hemorrhage or cyanotic breath holding spell. These all are not classified as a syncope. Incidence, overall incidence. This was the paper published in the 2002. In that, the first all over incidence was 6.2 per 1000 person years. This incidence increases with the age, with the sharp rise at the 70 years. Recent article is also showing the first appearance of the first episode of the syncope is more common. It is a biphasic distribution. The first appearance of syncope is around 20 to 30 years, but with cumulative incidence of the syncope will increase at 60 to 70 years. The incidence of the vasovagal syncope is 1.3 per 1000 person years, and 21% patient reported one or more recurrences of the syncope.
Is there a mention of pre-syncope?
Yes.
Is there any mention? Are you going to discuss that?
Pre-syncope, actually pre-syncope is a more towards the recent guideline words. They are describing it in 2017 and 18 guidelines. It was not at before 10 years.
Because you get lot of patients where there is no transient loss of consciousness.
Yes.
The patient for momentary,
Patient feels
either he becomes very still for few seconds.
Yes.
And he is not aware. Few seconds, and he is not aware. Within few seconds he recovers.
Yes.
Pre-syncope was there in 2000 as well.
Sorry, sir.
In the year 2000 to 2010 years, Harrison was mentioning pre-syncope. Very
Sir,
classical.
there is no specific guideline for pre-syncope. They have mentioned the pre-syncope word, but there was guideline was not applied to the pre-syncope.
So now we have guidelines for pre-syncope.
No, they have included pre-syncope as a kind of syncope, and evaluation is as per syncope.
Yeah, it was there already. In 2000, when I was a MBBS MD student, we were reading pre-syncope as syncope only. There was proper description in Harrison. I'm not talking about other books.
It is term pre-syncope.
Pre-syncope term was there. Now, the incidence rates of the syncope as per the age. In early ages, the incidence is more in the women, and in the delayed ages also incidence increase in the women, but in the middle ages more towards the men. And with increasing age, the incidence is around 20% at more than 80 years of age. Now, the prevalence. This was the data in the 2010 to 2015. At that time, different studies was reported. There is a prevalence. The vasovagal attack, neuro-mediated syncope prevalence was 18%, and the syncope with the cardiac origin with arrhythmia was around 12 to 15%. incidence causes of syncope will be vasovagal was 24%, around 20-24%. The cardiac is around 15 to 20%, and the orthostatic is around 5 to 10%. Now, the survival as per the cause of the syncope, here we can say is compared to the controls or the patient without any syncope.
Previous and देखो पेपर से तारीख से शेयर करते हैं वो जबरदस्त है ना क्लासिफिकेशन करके कार्डियोवास्कुलर डिजीज साथे ना कोजेस કાર્ડિયોવાસ્ક્યુલર ડિઝીઝ સિવાય ના કોઝ એટલે આટલું બધું તો સાલા ડિફરન્સિએશન કઈ રીતે કરે છે
unknown is highest.
Unknown is highest.
Second is the vasovagal.
પેપર
England Medical Journal
2002 માં છે.
હા કઈ વાત નહીં તો આ વાંચવા જેવું આપણને નથી
ખબર. Same paper. Here we can see the probability of survival is least with the patient with cardiac causes of the syncope. Now, the recent classification. This recent classification is 2018 ASA guidelines. They have classified syncope as the vasovagal, including the orthostatic VVS or the emotional fear or pain stimulated. Then situational, as per the micturition of cough, sneeze, reflex syncope. Then carotid sinus syndrome and the non-classical forms. These are the classification under the reflex or the neurally mediated syncope. The second one is the syncope due to orthostatic hypotension. It is either drug-induced volume depletion, the primary autonomic failure, neurogenic orthostatic hypotension, and the secondary autonomic failure, neurogenic due to some disease. Disease including the diabetes, amyloidosis, spinal cord injury, autoimmune autonomic neuropathy, and paraneoplasty and kidney failure.
Multi-system in elderly multi-system atrophy.
Yes, sir.
MS.
That is primary autonomic. So primary disease of the autonomic system, and this is the
MS. It is written.
yes. Classification under the cardiac syncope is arrhythmia is a primary cause, either bradycardia, sick-sinus syndrome, the AV conduction system disease, then tachycardia, supraventricular or ventricular, then structural cardiac. The structural cardiac includes cardiac syncope. In cases of the valvular heart disease or acute myocardial infarction, HOCM, the cardiac masses or the tamponade, so basically structural cardiac defect, and the prosthetic valve dysfunction. The cardiopulmonary and great vessel includes the pulmonary embolism, acute aortic dissection, and the pulmonary hypertension.
It is acute pulmonary.
So acute pulmonary hypertension also, and the chronic pulmonary hypertension also. There are the towards the prognosis of the acute pulmonary hypertension, there are chances of syncope if there is a severe PH. The condition.
So that syncope might not be related to per se pulmonary hypertension, but it's related to obstruction of pulmonary arteries.
Sir, it is that syncope is the cause is cerebral hypoperfusion due to RV failure.
Yes.
So it
It's
classifies.
a mechanical thing.
Yes. So in the patient with the chronic pulmonary hypertension, if there is exertion and syncope is there, the cause is cerebral hypoperfusion. That classifies under syncope.
Yeah, that is in chronic, but what are the causes of acute pulmonary hypertension?
Acute pulmonary hypertension, that also classifies in, means if there is syncope, that is also. But
But per se pulmonary pressure will not decide syncope. It's
yes. So conditions of the real or apparent LOC, which may be incorrectly diagnosed as a syncope. So seizures, any seizures disorder, psychogenic or pseudosyncope with falls without the transient loss of consciousness, intracerebral or subarachnoid hemorrhage, vertebrobasilar TIA, carotid transystem, then subclavian scheme, cataplexy, intoxication, coma, cardiac arrest or any metabolic disorder.
કોમા ને ઇન્કરેક્ટલી ડાયગ્નોસ સિન્કોપી એ કેવી રીતે કે
સર ગાઈડલાઈન વાળા છે એ લોકો
બાકી કોઈ કોરિલેશન કશું છે કોમા મીન્સ કોમા એન્ડ સિન્કોપ
If symptom lead to coma after injury or something like that, then you will not be able to differentiate it.
Now, this was the article in 2016. That was at that time in this article they have classified causes of loss of consciousness. It was same in the recent, as per the recent guidance, but the incidence, the neurally mediated causes are around 66%. That includes the vasovagal, carotid sinus, any situational reflex mediated, and the second one is the orthostatic. The incidence is 10%. Cardiac arrhythmia, it is also 10 to 11%. Structural cardiopulmonary, that is 5%, and the non-syncopal was 6%. Most recent data in this, in 2018 guideline, they have classified as the reflex syncope. They have given in the general population it is 21%, and the presentation in the emergency department. So it is around 35 to 40% in the emergency department. Orthostatic hypotension is 4 to 24 in emergency, and it is 10% in general. Cardiac 9.5 versus in emergency it is 5 to 20%. Non-syncopal transient loss of consciousness is 9% in the general population, and 8 to 20% in the emergency. And 37, a major portion of the patients are unexplained in general population, and same applies for the presentation in the emergency department. Now, the mechanism. The neurocardiogenic or vasovagal syncope is the one of the most common cause of the syncope. Occurs as a result of excessive peripheral venous fueling that causes in the sudden drop in the peripheral venous return. Activation, this sudden drop in the venous return, activation of the carotid baroreceptors leads to cardiac hypercontractile stage, which activates the mechanoreceptors. There is a increased afferent neural traffic to the brainstem, provokes the paradoxical reflex bradycardia and drop in the pulmonary drop in the peripheral vascular resistance. The syncope can be, this excessive peripheral pulling of the venous blood can be provoked by prolonged standing, then vigorous exercise, the fear, emotional distress or the severe pain. Pre-syncopal symptoms may occur from 30 seconds to few minutes before syncope. Up to third of the patients will have little or no prodrome, result in the physical trauma. The loss of consciousness is brief and recovery is rapid, and full recovery is expected. Now, here the emotional triggers or the somatic or visceral triggers lead to peripheral pooling of the blood, or in cases of the cardiac syncope or the carotid sinus hyperresponsiveness, that leads to directly bradycardic symptoms or the decrease in the peripheral vascular resistance. Then hemodynamic triggers of the hypotension also leads to the hypotension, that includes the chronotropic incompetence of the heart and inadequate vasoconstriction to the stimulus. This all leads to the cerebral hypoperfusion. This was the 2017 guideline. In this guideline, they have the class of indication. So, if for initial evaluation, if there is no serious medical condition present, if the cardiac causes of the syncope and the neural causes of the syncope are ruled out, then there is no need of to admit the patient, or the inpatient evaluation is not needed. Then, if there is a reflex mediated syncope, there is a class 1, and the further investigation is this. Now, if the initial evaluation is clear, no additional evaluation is needed, but if initial evaluation leads to something specific disease, then targeted blood testing for the rule out the metabolic causes of the syncope. If initial neurogenic orthostatic hypertension referred for autonomic evaluation. This is class 2A. This all class 2A indication is now changed to the class 1 indication. So field table testing is 2018 guideline, it is changed to the class 1 indication. So if there is an initial evaluation suggests the reflex syncope, then field table testing is indicated. Initial evaluation suggests any cardiovascular abnormality, then cardiac monitoring as per the frequency of the symptoms. Either it could be the implantable loop monitor or it could be the ambulatory or external cardiac monitor. Stress testing, transthoracic echo, electrophysiological testing or MRI or CT can be indicated as per the symptoms. Now, the same algorithm for 2018 guideline, ESC guideline, if transient loss of consciousness is present, syncope and non-syncope. If there is a syncope, the initial evaluation includes the history and the physical examination, ECG and supine and standing BP. This leads to the specific diagnosis. If this points toward the specific diagnosis, then investigation as per the specific diagnosis. But if there is a no certain diagnosis, then risk stratification should be done. High risk of the short term or the severe events. Low risk with rare recurrences. If there is a low risk and there is a chances of the rare recurrences or that there is a single episode, no need of the further evaluation. But if there is a low risk but recurrent syncope is there, then further evaluation is needed. Now here is the table for the risk stratification. High risk features. The major is the new onset of chest discomfort, breathlessness, syncope due to exertion or when supine. The sudden onset of palpitation immediately followed by syncope. Minor high risk is only associated with the structural heart disease, evidence of the heart disease. So there is no morning symptoms or short prodrome, less than 10 seconds.
Let me have previous slide.
Yes, sir.
See, under TLOC, how can there be no TLOC?
Transient loss of consciousness.
Right?
Yes.
Then sub-classification shows no TLOC. Extreme left.
Sir, that is pseudosyncope.
મેની ટાઈમ પેશન્ટ જ્યારે એવું કહે ને કે મને આવું થઈ ગયું હતું ત્યારે તમે હિસ્ટ્રી લો તો યુ વિલ કમ ટુ નો કે there was no actual loss of consciousness એટલે ઘણીવાર ત્યાં જ રૂલ આઉટ થઈ જાય.
So they are saying it
એટલે
is a no transient.
initially question.
Probability
એટલે ક્વેશ્ચન માર્ક મૂક્યો છે.
Question mark મૂક્યો છે.
Alright.
So patient present with the history of the loss of consciousness, but actual there is no loss of consciousness.
loss.
So it is ruled out.
Right.
એ ઇન્ડિયા માટે ખાસ જરૂરી છે.
Correct.
So high risk features primary includes if there is a specific cardiac symptoms, then high risk features severe structural or coronary artery disease. There is a history of the coronary artery disease or unexplained blood pressure is less than unexplained hypotension. If there is a GI bleed, if there is a persistent bradycardia less than 40 and undiagnosed systolic murmur. The major high risk feature in the ECGs. So ECG changes consistent with the acute ischemia. If Mobis type 2 or the third degree AV block, slow atrial fibrillation less than 40 beats per minute. The persistent sinus brady less than 40. Bundle branch block or intraventricular conduction block. Then Q wave consistent with the coronary artery disease or the cardiomyopathy. Non-sustained or sustained VT. Dysfunction of the pacemaker or ICD and type 1 Brugada pattern. Type 2 and type 3 is not included in the major risk. Type 1 Brugada pattern and the long QT syndrome. There is a minor high risk Mobis type 1, then asymptomatic or inappropriate mild sinus bradycardia. If there is a paroxysmal SVT or atrial fibrillation with normal rate or without bradycardia. then pre-excited QRS complex, then short QTC interval less than 340, atypical Brugada patterns, type 2, type 3 patterns, and the negative T wave suggestive of the ARBC, arithmogenic right ventricle. If specific symptoms, clinical ECG that suggest symptoms due to orthostatic hypotension, due to prolonged standing after exertion, or the postprandial hypotension, and there is a temporal relationship with the vasodepressive drug or the diuretic, presence of any autonomic neuropathy or the Parkinson's. Now, the diagnostic strategy after the initial evaluation, if there is an uncertain diagnosis, cardiac likely, then further evaluation would be echo, ECG monitoring would be external ECG monitors or the implantable ECG monitors as per the frequency, stress test or anything. If cardiac is unlikely and recurrent episodes are there, then autonomic test with ECG monitoring. Cardiac unlikely and the rare episode, no further evaluation is needed.
In these two categories, during recurrent episode, you can ask patient or patient relative to have a video recording of the
Yes.
event.
Yes.
That gives clue to the diagnosis. So
Yes.
these two.
Video recording is indicated, sir. Now, what are the basic cardiovascular autonomic function tests?
કાર્ડિયાક સિમ્પટમમાં તમે ટીટીટી નથી કરતું
Sir, cardiac
ઇવેલ્યુએશન ઇવેલ્યુએશનમાં ECG મોનિટરિંગ EP સ્ટડી સ્ટ્રેસ ટેસ્ટ કોરોનરી ફંડ ટેબલેટરી ટેસ્ટ
echocardiography sir છે ને પેલું છે.
પણ TLT જુઓ ટેબલેટરી ટેસ્ટ
Sir, table T test
It
is that
reflects in the bima.
reflex. It is not cardiac.
રિફ્લેક્સ
It is reflexive.
Reflex. Actually, irritable આખું પાછળ આખું ડિટેલમાં આપણે કવર કરીશું બધા રિસ્પોન્સ સાથે. I get sir. Specific indication છે irritable.
કાર્ડિયોવાસ્ક્યુલર ઓટોનોમિક સિસ્ટમ એમાંથી
Yes. So, basic cardiovascular autonomic function test. The first is, so these are the function tests we need to do if there is a specific criteria or history or examination suggestive of the orthostatic hypotension or the symptom related to the orthostatic hypotension or the cardio-neurologic. So, active standing, Valsalva, carotid sinus massage, tilt testing, and ambulatory BP monitoring. Now, active standing test. If in active standing test, the feature suggestive of highly suggestive of orthostatic hypotension is syncope or pre-syncope during the standing, not during the lying, and complaint may get worse immediately after the exercise, after the meals, or in the high temperature. There is no autonomic activation like if there is a reflex mediated or the carotid sinus stimulated. The possibility due to orthostatic hypotension is not one of the features highly suggestive of the orthostatic hypotension. Now, standing and supine BP. If symptomatic abnormal BP falls, this classified with if there is a typical symptoms in history and if there is a specific BP difference in standing and supine, that classifies the syncope is due to orthostatic hypotension. In rest, asymptomatic or the abnormal BP fall, and if there is a symptoms is not particular to orthostatic hypotension, further evaluation is needed.
How much BP fall?
Sir, in less than 3 minutes, more than 20 mA of Lechi in systolic pressure.
Diastolic?
10. Now, the active standing test, the indication is intermittent deterioration by BP and heart rate during active standing for 3 minutes are indicated at initial syncope evaluation. So, standing test is indicated at initial syncope evaluation, and the diagnostic criteria is the syncope due to orthostatic is confirmed when there is a fall in systolic BP from baseline to more than 20 mmHg or diastolic more than 10, or a decrease in systolic BP less than 90 reproduce the spontaneous symptoms. But if there is a BP fall is there, but the symptoms is not producing, then it comes into the guideline 2A. There is a second terminology, posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. In POTS, to diagnose POTS, if there is a orthostatic heart rate increase more than 30 beats per minute or more than 180 within 10 minutes of the active study, in absence of orthostatic hypotension, that reproduce the spontaneous symptom. The hypotension is not there, but symptoms is there, and the increase in the heart rate is there. That classifies the POTS. Now the second one is the carotid sinus massage. The method of symptom: asystole or fall in the BP. There are the two types of the response with the carotid sinus massage. If there is a asystole and the second one is a fall in the BP. If no symptoms and asystole more than 3 seconds or BP fall more than 50, that is carotid sinus hypersensitivity, not syndrome, because there is no symptoms. But there is a reproduction of the symptoms is there, then classifies the carotid sinus syndrome. In carotid sinus syndrome, if there is asystole more than 3 seconds and no symptoms after the atropine, that classifies under cardio-inhibitory form, but symptoms persist even after the atropine. So that is the mixed type of the carotid sinus hypersensitivity. And if there is a no asystole more than 3 seconds, then it is a vasodepressive type form of the carotid sinus syndrome. Here is the example carotid sinus massage with the cardio-inhibitory form. You can see with syncope, the first ECG is showing there is a asystole with fall in the BP. But with after giving the atropine, the symptoms are gone. Means there is no asystole and symptoms are lost with recovery in the blood pressure. So this is primary cardio-inhibitory form. This is the mixed form. In this, the syncope is there even after the atropine. There is a asystole, but after atropine, asystole is reverted back. But symptoms is there, and there is a no recovery in the blood pressure. So this is kind of the mixed form. The carotid sinus massage is indicated in patient more than 40 years of the age with syncope of the unknown origin compatible with the reflex mechanism. So more than 40 years with unknown or undiagnosed syncope, CSM is indicated.
Why not less than 40?
So very less likely to have carotid sinus hypersensitivity in less than 40. The incidence is not much.
So whether is there any specific symptoms whether turning of head on one to another patient gets carotid sinus syncope?
Yes.
Is there must be, otherwise you cannot suspect it either.
Yes. Actually, that is kind of a, it is vague presentation because there are many means if there is a cervical vertebral problem, also if there is a vertebral steal phenomena, then also specific with specific movement, specific head movement or hand movement, patient gets syncope. So for carotid sinus, you can suspect with the history, but the final diagnosis would be as per the sinus massage.
No, that is okay, but
Yes.
see, to suspect a patient
Yes, sir.
carotid sinus syncope is there, there must be some symptoms too.
Actually, they are saying.
Otherwise, so you cannot do test for all more than
No,
40.
actually, what they are saying in the guideline, if age is more than 40 and you are not finding any other cause of the syncope, then you should do carotid sinus. If there is no other finding, means if there is patient rule out that this is cardiac syncope or then carotid sinus massage ની જરૂર નથી. But rule out નથી થયું, then you need to do carotid sinus massage.
બે ત્રણ સ્લાઇડ પાછળ જાઓ તો પછી હજી Keep that. જે એસિસ્ટોલ થાય છે 3 સેકન્ડમાં
હમ.
હવે બ્લડ પ્રેશર તમે એસિસ્ટોલ દરમિયાન મોનિટર કરો છો
આઈડિયલી સર કરવું પડે.
કેવી રીતે
Actually invasive is best.
સો આર ધીસ ડેટા ઓફ ઇન્વેઝિવ થિંગ
હા, જે મેં જે પ્રેઝન્ટ કર્યા that is of invasive.
So during a systole, there is a central catheter there in the artery, right? Which is measuring this fall. Okay, otherwise, for a systole, clinically, तो आपकी पास तो blood pressure आवવાનું જ નથી.
આવવાનું.
Isn't it?
That is fact.
If there is a systole, there is loss of blood pressure
Yes sir.
clinically,
Yes sir.
right?
Definitely.
Okay.
But,
અચ્છા, તો હવે આ વસ્તુ તમે ક્લિનિક પ્રેક્ટિસમાં કરો છો? Carotid sinus.
Actually there is a method in this कि BP fall more than 50 mmHg with asystole. So asystole થશે તો આપણને BP તો ખ્યાલ આવશે જ નહીં, that is fact. But the thing is जो more than 3 સેકન્ડ પછીનું જે BP આપણે મેજર કરીએ ને that is also low.
Okay, so now go to the graph.
હા, yes.
Okay, so આમાં દેખાય છે આની પહેલા વાળું કરો. બીજો ગ્રાફ કયો હતો?
આની અંદર BP is still low,
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
there is no symptoms.
Next graph. હા, so આમાં છે ને દોસ્ત તમારું બ્લડ પ્રેશર ઇનિશિયલી ઘટ્યું નથી.
Initially
દેખાય છે તમારું એસિસ્ટોલ થયું પછીનું જે બીપી રીડિંગ છે that is as good as તમારા પ્રી એસિસ્ટોલ ના જે રીડિંગ છે એના જેવા છે. Right? If you see the graph. અચ્છા એટલે પેલું નીચે ગયું છે ઓકે. ડન ચલો. સો એસિસ્ટોલ પછીનું બ્લડ પ્રેશર.
yes, asystole પછીનું.
ડન.
asystole વખતે તો આપણને આઈડિયા નહીં જાય. It is like જે asystole પછીની ફર્સ્ટ બીટ આવે ને that તો એ બીટ કયા પર આવે છે મીન્સ તમે આપણે નોર્મલી અમે લોકો જે કરીએ છીએ અથવા તો સ્પેસિફિક જ્યારે કેરોટિડ સાઇનસ મસાજ આઈસીયુ માં કેમાં કરતા હોઈએ સો ઇટ ઇઝ લાઈક પેશન્ટ ને asystole થયું એના પછીની જે પહેલી બીટ આવે ને કે આપણે ઇન્ફ્લેટેડ જ રાખ્યો ડાયસ્ટોલિક ની ઉપર જ રાખ્યો
બરાબર છે પણ તમારું બ્લડ પ્રેશર જ્યારે મશીન બતાવશે ત્યારે કેટલી સેકન્ડ જતી રહેશે?
જતી જ રહી હશે બટ બ્લડ પ્રેશર મશીન તમને 10-15 સેકન્ડ પછીનું બતાવશે
Exactly.
after asystole ના 10-15 સેકન્ડ પછી
So
પણ એ પણ લો જ હશે
without invasive thing, this is practically not possible.
એ પણ લો જ હશે 10 સેકન્ડ પછીનું જે ફર્સ્ટ
ઘણી વાર ના બી હોય ને દોસ્ત.
હા ઘણીવાર ના હોય
હે ને 15 સેકન્ડ પછીનું નોર્મલ આવી ગયું હોઈ શકે.
યસ
Right? So in that case, how will you interpret?
પેશન્ટ ના સિમ્પટમ્સ જતા રહે તો વાત પતી ગઈ ઇટ ઇઝ લાઈક asystole response cardiac response બ્લડ પ્રેશર આવી ગયું સિમ્પટમ્સ જતા રહ્યા અને 3 સેકન્ડમાં મને કેમ મળી ગયું તો બ્લડ ક્લાસિફિકેશન જતા
બીજી ઘટી તો કે એ જ ખબર ના પડે ને માલિક. તમારે જ્યારે તમે બીજી લીધું પાછું એસિસ્ટોલ પછીનો
બીપી ફોલ થવાનું જ છે સર બ્રેડિકાર્ડિયા સાથે બીપી ઓલવેઝ ફોલ થવાનું
પણ
છે
તમે રેકોર્ડ કર્યું. It's about documentation. In routine clinical practice, if cardiac OPD has to monitor, has to do carotid sinus massage, તમે કીધું કે તમે આઈસીયુ કર્યું પણ how will you document? Unless invasive blood pressure monitoring, how will you document this thing? This is not possible.
For practical purpose, for practical guideline, I can say if I do carotid sinus massage, there is only two response. First response is I don't feel pulse
Exactly.
for 3 seconds. If patient has symptoms while I don't feel pulse, it is kind of cardiac. Now what I need to rule out if it is a mixed type or not. After that, after 3 seconds or the 5 seconds when I got the pulse and patient has still symptoms, then it is mixed type. If I don't get pulse, if I get pulse and patient has no symptoms, that is only cardiac.
That is agreed here, but how will you document blood pressure fall? That is my question.
Practically, that is all kind of theoretical purpose. Practical purpose is this simple practical purpose.
So to perform carotid sinus massage in clinical practice, it is mandatory to monitor invasive blood pressure, yes or no?
Yes.
So यार आज स्टेटमेंट तार 5 मिनट पहला बोल दी तो आप आगे बढ़ गए.
The carotid sinus syndrome is confirmed if CSM causes bradycardia and or hypotension that reproduce the spontaneous symptoms and patient have the clinical features compatible with the reflex mechanism of the syndrome. So here also in guideline class 1 they are saying and or hypotension. If you are getting Brady with carotid sinus massage, it is CSS.
ચાલો એટલે તમારો આન્સર મળી ગયો. You may not be monitoring
Yes.
it. If you have bradycardia symptoms, it's matter and
It is CSS.
સર તમે આ પ્રિપેર કરતી વખતે આ નહીં વિચાર્યું હોય?
સર આ પ્રિપેર મેં છે ને આ પ્રિપેર કરતી વખતે નહોતું વિચાર્યું. આ મારે વિચારવાનું હતું એક સ્પેસિફિક પેશન્ટમાં NRI પેશન્ટ હતું અને they want specific answers everything. So I have to demonstrate and I have demonstrated to the relatives. See, pulse oximeter ma there is no pulse and after that they have agreed. Yes, there is a specific thing because in NRI patient you need to व्यवस्थित काउंसिल करेंगे, you have to show them everything.
કોઈ તમને કઈ ત્યાં બતાડે છે કોઈ અહીંયા ઈ કરે
સર એ લોકોને અહીંયા જ બધું હોય છે.
અહીંયા જ બધું હોય છે તૈયારી કરે છે ત્યાં કોઈ બતાડે છે કઈ
આ તો ક્યાં જવાબ જ આપે છે લોકો.
જવાબ એ નહીં આપતા એમને એમ લખી
NRI ના સ્લેવ તરીકે આ લોકો વાપરે છે આની હેલ્થ સિસ્ટમ. હવે તમે એવું કહો carotid sinus massage કરતી વખતે what are the chances of sudden cardiac death? Is there any documentation?
Sudden cardiac death nahi, but embolism, the TIA and means we need to auscultate carotid first and there are chances of TIA and a stroke are there. There is a documentation.
Okay, but not about permanent assistant. એવું સાંભળ્યું નથી ને જે
Documentation નથી, but TIA and એના છે. Now the ECG monitoring, the type 1, the ECG presentation would be type 1 would be asystole, type 1 is the sinus arrest, second one is the sinus arrest, sinus bradycardia with AV block, then sudden onset AV block. Type 2 is the bradycardia, there is a decrease in heart rate more than 30% or heart rate less than 40 beats per minute for more than 10 seconds. Then type 2 presentation would be no or slight rhythm variation, but heart rate variation is less than 30%, but heart rate is more than 40 beats per minute. Suggested pathophysiology is uncertain, so we need further or evaluation other than cardiac symptom needed if there is a type 2, type 3 or type 4. Type 4 is the tachycardic response, then progressive sinus tachycardia with then atrial fibrillation SPT and ventricular tachycardia. So in type 4 B, C and D don't need further evaluation regarding evaluation of the other symptoms, but if there is a type 3 means both the uncertain type of the pathophysiology need evaluation of the other systems.
ઇલેક્ટ્રોકાર્ડિયોગ્રામ એટલે વર્તમાન
ક્યારે કરવાનું as per the symptoms. This is normal ECG at the time of the presentation. So at the time of આમાંથી એક પણ presentation at the time of the presentation આમાંથી એક પણ
એક એક જ લીડ લેવાની એક એક જ આદત હોય છે એમ કેવી રીતે
actually sir at the time of presentation આમાંનું કોઈ પણ છે તો એમાં હોલ્ટર ને બધું ક્યારે કરવાનું કે જ્યારે અનસર્ટેન છે ત્યારે. If you are getting CHP during the time of the presentation, then no need of the further evaluation. Holter की कोई जरूरत नहीं. That proves that this is CHP or this is cardiac arrhythmia. But जયારે uncertain आवे के there we don't find specific ECG at that time. Sinus arrest, this is EP. Okay, sinus bradycardia plus AV block. We can see there is a P wave and no QRS followed by P. So this is the during episode. Type 1 say intrinsic AV block. Here we say this EP picture. In this there is no QRS followed by specific sinus P wave. Idiopathic AV block with low dose adenosine, there is AV block. AV block is reproduced with the low dose adenosine. You see, this is the only bradycardia with intermittent sinus arrest. There is a meta-analysis of RCT of implantable loop recorder versus conventional strategy. in this meta-analysis shows ILR with ILR there are more chances of detecting any cardiac abnormality or the ECG abnormality in patient with the syncope. Now, indication for ECG monitoring. Yes. The transient loss of consciousness, suspected syncope. If there is a certain diagnosis or mechanism is evaluated or we have find, then no need to further ECG evaluation. But if there is an uncertain diagnosis or mechanism, syncope with high risk or arrhythmia likely, then in-hospital monitoring is indicated. And if in-hospital monitoring is negative for 24 hours, then implantable loop recorder is indicated. So this classifies if
What is the maximum duration of that can be used? ILR?
ILR up to several years.
Several years.
Yes.
Several years.
Implantable system. Then syncope with low risk, arrhythmia is likely or recurrent episodes. Then ILR is class 1 indication. These all were the class 2 indication. ILR was class 2 indication in 2017 guideline. But after 2018 they have said if there is a low risk but arrhythmia is likely and recurrent episodes are there, then ILR is indicated. ELR external and Holter is class 2, but implantable is class 1 indication. Now, if there is a low risk, reflex likely and need for specific therapy, ILR is class 2 indication. So, in the low risk is if the patient has SVT, we are suspecting patient has palpitation, no ECG is recorded, means ECG में कैसे अपन ने we have diagnosed as SVT. In that case, we can use Holter, ELR or ILR. If the symptoms, the duration of the symptoms is more important. If the duration of symptoms, recurrence of the symptoms is more important. If the recurrence is every 3 months or 6 months, in that case, Holter won't going to show anything. So in that case, ILR is indicated. So SVT, low risk, classified as recurrent symptoms, recurrent episode, in that patient ILR is indicated. But if the patient has high risk is patient has kind of CVD, means if there is a CAD and we are suspecting this was an episode of the VT or VFib, then comes in the high risk. In that patient, we need to in-hospital monitoring. And after in-hospital monitoring, we don't find anything. ILR is class 1 indication because that carries the risk of SCD, sudden cardiac death.
ILR કરીએ છે.
So,
ILR કરીએ છે.
ના સર આપણે સીધું આઇસોલેટ કરી દઈએ છીએ. ILR સર માં કાઢવા મળતું નથી. AICD CRTD હવે માં કાઢવા મળે છે. પેશન્ટને ફોડો મોટા ભાગે ન થતો. ઇન્ડિયાનો સૌથી મોટો પ્રોબ્લેમ એ છે ને સર એઝ પર ગાઈડલાઈન કામ કરવા જઈએ ને એક કે ગાઈડલાઈનમાં એવું નથી કીધું આ બધા રૂપિયા ક્યાંથી આવશે.
मतलब તમે જે ઇન્ડિયાના કાર્ડિયોલોજિસ્ટ છે ને એ લોકો એક મા કાર્ડ ગાઈડલાઈન આયુષ્માન કાર્ડ ગાઈડલાઈન બનાવી
એ રીતની ગાઈડલાઈન હોવી જોઈએ. આપણે ડિસ્કસ કરી જે આપણે
આ બધી ડિસ્કસ એટલા માટે કે યુ નો વી નોઝ એવરીથિંગ બટ વી ડુ ધ પ્રેક્ટિકલ થિંગ્સ.
બટ વી ડુ નથી.
યસ વી ડુ ધેટ.
કેટલી સ્લાઇડ છે હવે?
સર હવે આપણે છે ને આ સ્લાઇડ પર આપણે વી કેન એન્ડ કેમ કે આપણે ટાઈમ પર થઈ ગયો છે.
આ 9:33 થઈ ગયું.
હવે કેમ કે હવે ટીલ ટેબલ છે.
આ બધું શાંતિથી કરી.
ટીલ ટેબલ ટેબલમાં ટાઈમ
આ જાણવું જરૂરી છે ટીલ ટેબલ.
નહીં આ એક્ચ્યુઅલી લાંબુ છે ને આપણે બધા રિસ્પોન્સ સાથે આખું બધું કવર કર્યું છે.
આ કરો છો તમે?
આ ટીલ ટેબલ કરે છે. સોમુ સર કરે છે અને
એક તો કરે જ બધાને ખબર
બરોબર.
હોય.
એટલે એક્ચ્યુઅલી અમારા પેશન્ટનું પણ અમે એમની પાસે જ કરાવી દઈએ છે. અહીંયા બેકઅપમાં